Hello and welcome to the second video of the Federation Class Dreadnought Series. In this video, I'll create the saucer shape and add the deflector grid lines. I can't wait to start modeling, so let's get started. So to make this saucer, I like to start with a simple cylinder. So just going to my top view and just bring one in. Doesn't really matter the size as of now. And I can center it. Just like so. Make it transparent so we can see through it. And give it cap segment so we can see this grid work. And we don't need these height segments, so I'm just going to have one. There we go. Now you see we have 18 sides. And as I like to say, I like to have divisible by 4 sides. And I know that's going to be true on this ship because there's a straight line here and a straight line here. So I know it's divided into quadrants. So I'll just move this a little bit further. And here we go. So let's see how many we're going to have. Just bring this up. There we go. Yeah, 24 sides. So now we've got an edge over every grid line. And this is important because I'm actually going to model the grid lines on this. So I want to make sure my edges are corresponding with that, which is great. And I need to put more cap segments in. And I suppose I could just move them in place. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. And these can always be pushed into place, and all this stuff can be modified. And it looks to be the same on the bottom too. Okay, great. So now just go to my left side, my left view, and change the height. Perfect. All right, so that's that. It's going to turn into an editable poly. Grab all these vertices here and bring them down. Let's see how that looks on the top. Maybe make the whole thing a bit bigger. It's a little bit difficult to tell because I haven't put the turbo smooth on, so we can always change it. Everything is changeable. All right. So now I can align my shield grid on the top to correspond with the shield grid on the actual ship. This I'm just going to add later, so I'm not concerned with this one. So I can just shrink these down. So and this can be this. I could just put these in. Oh, I guess I miscounted. Not a problem. Okay. So now what I can do, it's like that. Grow, grow, grow. I think it starts here. So let's see. Now I can just start bringing these up. Still too much shrink. There we go. Shrink. And just keep doing this. Great. Now I'm going to repeat the process for the bottom, and then we'll have our saucer slope fleshed out. Okay, so I finished sculpting the saucer, and the bottom was indeed a little bit different than the top, most notably, I don't know if you can see it in this transparent view, but I took the liberty of making this concave part, just like on the TOS Enterprise. I just thought it would look nicer. And the sculpt is a little bit different on the bottom, and you can see already the plans already aren't lining up. I'm quite used to this, so I just kind of work around that, but it is something to note. So now it looks like I'm finally able to attach my Turbo Smooth modifier to this. So I will do that. So big drum roll, here we go. And I'll give it, I guess, 3 iterations. So of course there's some work that needs to be done. Most notably, the edges of the saucer need to be tightened up, right? So we can get right to that. Just connect all these edges. Two segments, of course, and spread them out. So like that. This will be good. I could tell from experience that this one's going to be lower because... I'm sorry, the bottom one. It's funny. I could tell from experience. The bottom one is going to be up higher because the bottom has a gentler curve to it. So not a problem. Just make sure I'm in vertex mode and my edge constraints are on. And just bring them up. And as always, these can be adjusted. I'm just kind of fleshing things out at the moment. I also want to do the same for the top. And the bottom here. And again, this is going to be a bit further out. All right, let's see how that looks. Much better. Starting to look like a spaceship. I know I say that a lot, but I always get happy when that happens. And what I want to do now is, you see how we get this weird pucker going on at the top? I want to get rid of that. I know it might be covered up by this sensor dome thing, but I don't like that at all on my models. So how I cure that is I chamfer this, because you see it's all triangles right here, and Turbo Smooth hates triangles. So what I do is I chamfer this vertex. This is going to be small enough. I know the sensor dome is going to cover it. This will be okay. So now when I go on to Turbo Smooth, yeah. So now I've got a tiny hole in the top of my saucer, but that's okay because I don't have that weird pucker. It's all smooth. And I'm going to do that on the bottom here too. Let's get rid of that. And that is that. That's the basic saucer sculpt done for the Dreadnought. So now it's time to create the shield grids. All right, so I made some refinements to that mesh, notably tightening up this top part and this bottom part because they're going to be receiving these, I guess, sensor domes. So I just wanted to make sure that there was a nice defined lip for them. And I also collapsed the stack and froze the sub-D because I'm pretty confident that this is the shape that I want to go with. So what I've done is I've selected the edges that I want to be the shield lines. And that is because I'm going to chamfer them and then extrude them. And you're probably wondering why only 1/4 is done. And that's because I can use the symmetry modifier. So it's going to make my job a lot easier. So with these selected, what I'm going to do is just right click, chamfer. And I think 0.05. That's pretty much my go-to setting for these shield grids. Just nice and consistent, and I think it's a good scale. So I'm going to click. Let's make sure everything's looking. This is looking pretty good. I'm going to click check. Hold shift and click on polygon. Hope for the best. There we go. So most of the work has been done, but you see I do need to click on these. Bring up my edges. It's got to fill in. Yeah, for some reason it doesn't do these holes for you, but it does a lot, so I'm grateful. Don't think I'm not grateful. So I'm going to select just the rest of these. Make sure that they're all selected, all these gaps right here, and then I'm going to extrude these shield lines. With all the polygons selected that I want to select, it is now time to extrude. So right click, extrude, and I want to be in local normal, because these are all facing different directions and I want them all to face the proper way. And I think -0.05 0.05. How's that looking? Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay. So that's this done. Top and bottom. So now what I want to do is give it my symmetry. So symmetry. And I actually want it to be, there we go. Yeah, this side first. And then another one. And flip. And there we go. So it's that easy. Deflector grid lines or shield grid lines are done. I'm not quite finished yet because I want to add, I don't know if you can see, I can't really tell what it is, but it looks like there's more panel lines under here. So I'm just going to add those really quick. And then this phase of the model will be finished. So I've created a box here just to create the blank that will create these lines. And I wanted to show you how I'm going to create these lines right here, which I can kind of interpret what happens underneath this third nacelle. So I'm just going to create a line. And just kind of guess where the other part would be. Like that. And close the spline. And I can bring this shape up. And unhide my saucer. There we go. So I can more or less use the edges that I created here to create or to line this up. See, so I can use this to line this up here. And let's see, I can make this come in a little bit like that. Just so these lines are more or less parallel. I think it'll look pretty nice. I think this has to come down further. All right, I'm going to turn all of these into Bezier corners. Just one by one. Again, I can use these edges right here as guides, just so it looks nice. There we go. Just kind of like, I guess, hatches, access hatches. And then extrude this. And that's probably good. Probably good level of detail. Not too much. It'll blend in pretty nice with the saucer. Move both of these down. So they're intersecting. So make sure I'm not really colliding with any. Good. I don't want to collide with any of the shield grid, but we've got a little bit of a problem here. There we go. That'll work. This will work. Of course, I don't want it sticking through the bottom of this. So I'm going to cut the symmetry. Compound, Pro Boolean, start picking, and of course these are going to be imprints. But before I do that, I want to just make sure that these are not going to be solid shapes, but they're going to be the edges that are going to imprint in, so they'll create these edges automatically. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to take this and convert to editable poly. We isolate it. Inset. .05. Is that going to be it? Let me end isolate. Guess 0.1. There we go. I just want to get these to be consistent here. Delete these. Let me isolate this. And bridge. There we go. This one's going to be even easier. Go to line, isolate, select all of these, and then just give it an outline. Point 1. And isolate. Great. Now I'll pick these. Cool. All right, so I will convert this back into an editable poly and select all the new polygons that I just created. And just make sure I don't have anything else. Select that I don't want, and then extrude. Negative 0.05. And check. Now I'm going to paste that symmetry. And there we are. Great. Okay. So the big details of the saucer are finished. So it will be creating the accessories and the windows next. But we're already off to a good start on our Dreadnought. So the next video, I'm going to create the accessories such as the phaser turrets and the windows and nav lights. Get this whole saucer complete before moving on to the next part of the ship. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.